Alright, so just like any human being, I have opinions on things. So this is going to be one of those videos that I feel it necessary to say trigger warning. Some people are going to get mad when they see it. Some people are going to feel offended. Some people are going to agree. But this is a topic that I feel very passionately on. And I start the video out trying not to be biased one way or the other. Just trying to make a point. It's very difficult not to show your bias, or not to show your biases, because it's such a polarizing topic. You can remain perfectly neutral, and one side will think that you're advocating for the other side. The other side will think you're advocating for this side. It's just impossible to be neutral on. And so I kind of threw it out the window and just went with what I was feeling. It's about gun control, and it's about these recent school shootings. And it's a topic that I think should be discussed. It's a topic that I think that everybody should be willing to discuss without labeling the other side as whatever they want to label the other side as. Because if all we're going to do is name call and ad hominem attacks and just arbitrary bull crap, nobody's ever going to accomplish anything, and nobody's ever going to really care what the other side says if we can't listen to what the other side says without a cognitive dissonance to us, so to speak. It's a very difficult topic to talk about. Anytime somebody on the left says anything about guns, then automatically the right thinks that the left wants to take the guns, and which I get into that. Don't hold my feet to the fire yet, there, righties. A lot of people. I've heard a lot of people on the left talk about how they do really want to just ban all guns. They've come out and said it. And anytime that the conservatives bring up the gun topic, the people on the left want to say that we have blood on our hands anytime a tragedy happens like this. And it's just not true. It is absolutely not true. My nephew actually told me, because he tried to tell me that the Second Amendment, that the Supreme Court ruled that the Second Amendment does not mean that we have a right to keep and bear arms. I countered his little petty argument with the Heller versus DC, I think it was what it was. The Heller versus DC case in, I believe, 2008, where it was where the Supreme Court ruled that we do actually have the right to keep and bear arms. And that's exactly what, verbatim, what the Second Amendment states is what it means. He came back and said that right when he came back, and he didn't have anything else to say, all he could do was then attack my character. He knows me. He knows who I am. We've been family. He's my nephew. We've been family for 28 years. He's a nephew he's my stepsister's son. So I was like 5 years old or something like that when he was born. Or maybe I was 7 years old when he was born. But you know what I mean. And so he's known me that long, and he still had the audacity to say that I had blood on my hands because, this was right after the Parkland shooting. And, he said this because I said what I said about the Supreme Court case. And all I was doing was stating a fact. I wasn't trying to say, I wasn't trying to say, well, this should not be banned or that should be banned. I simply said, this is what the case said. And he said, I have blood on my hands. And he said that if I did not want people to view me that way, I needed to make my facts less cold. That's verbatim. That's what he said. He said I needed to make my facts less cold. Facts are facts, people. You can't make them less cold. You can't make them... Facts are emotionless. That's the thing. But we can't have these discussions without, without labeling one side, or without applying a negative motive to one side. And it has nothing but disastrous effects. I realize this will be kind of a long video, but it's just something that's been on my mind. And there was something I wanted to point out in the main video that this is leading up to, that this little monologue is leading up to. And that is something I forgot to mention in that video, was that, about the AR-15, about, the specific gun that the left has such a hatred towards. The Virginia Tech school shooting was the deadliest school shooting in the United States history. That was carried out with semi-automatic pistols, 9mm handguns. It was not carried out with a semi-fully automatic assault weapon. It just wasn't. It was carried out with 2 pistols. And then this very last shooting was carried out with a sawed-off shotgun, which, by the way, a sawed-off shotgun is illegal to begin with. And it was also carried out with a revolver. Both of those guns, a shotgun anyway, a regular shotgun, and a revolver are not, or at least were not, on that list of semi-automatics that everybody wanted to ban. I've heard so many people come straight out and say we should ban all semi-automatic weapons. For one thing, the vast majority of guns are semi-automatic. Secondly, you could argue that a revolver is a semi-automatic gun. I mean, it's not the same thing as a pistol. It's not the same thing as, an actual semi-automatic pistol. But pull the trigger once, and it chambers around. It rotates the cylinder, and it fires. Pull the trigger again, it fires. Pull the trigger again, it fires. So even though it's not technically a semi-automatic, it's the same concept. You don't have to cock it every time you want to fire it. You don't have to pull a pump like you do on some shotguns every time. You don't have to pull a lever. You just pull the trigger. So they could even argue that a revolver is a semi-automatic. So then that would completely deplete every single handgun in existence. I do have my opinions. I wish we could talk about this stuff without it being so nuanced, or without it being so polarizing, but we can't, apparently. I'd like to. That's one reason. You ever hear of the term, the intellectual dark web? It consists of these people on YouTube that are very, very open to discussion. And somehow they got labeled as the intellectual dark web. And people want to label, there's Sam Harris, there's Dave Rubin, maybe even Steven Crowder, which obviously is more conservative. But Steven Crowder, there's Joe Rogan, there's Brett Weinstein. All these people are Jordan, darn it, what's his name? Dang it, I forget his name now. Jordan Peterson. They're all considered the intellectual dark web because they are willing to have these discussions on either side of the aisle and not be completely biased. Not be completely, they're willing to listen and they're willing to talk. It's funny because just because they're willing to talk, they're automatically labeled by the left as far-right extremists. Why, guys? Why? Here we are. Just, like I said, it's an opinion that I have, and I wanted to get it out there. So, if this is too much of a trigger warning for you. Back out of this page right now. And you know, most of my videos are trucking vlogs and happy-go-lucky trucking vlogs, but every now and again I have to get serious and talk about something that's weighing on my mind. And right now is one of those times. So, here you go. You know what's really sad is on this route that I'm on right here, in one little stretch, there's several car dealerships. And I hate this traffic circle. That's what's really sad, is I hate this traffic circle. The problem is, not necessarily, well, it is a problem, but the sad part is it's more often than not that I'm driving through that stretch and all the flags are at half-mast. And usually the reason they're at half-mast is because of a recent school shooting. And you know what's even sadder to a degree is that I can't even bring this topic up without one side assuming that I'm speaking for the other side. Politics aside, it's becoming more and more frequent. You know, I have a daughter that turns 4 next month. I have a son that's 9 months old. They're going to be going to school, and it only seems like it's happening more and more often. You know, you see these flags at half-mast, and it's almost always because of a school shooting anymore. It really is. And I'll admit, too, it's really difficult to talk about this without voicing your opinion on what side you think is the right side or the left. You know, when I say the right side, I mean the correct side. It's hard to voice your opinion without that coming to light. But I think most of you know that have seen this channel enough what side I stand on. You know, I try not to insert politics too often because it's just the most polarizing topic in the world. It really is. You know, I mean, I can't think of one thing that's more polarizing. I mean, you have religion, but that's not even as polarizing as politics. And in a way, religion is basically it's derived from politics. You know, politics is basically people. It's the people. Politics is about people. And that's what religion is. You know, politics, you know, as far, you know, it's been kind of perverted over the period of time so that it makes people think that it's just about arguing with one another about your side or whatever, but politics is about the people. Okay, I guess my politics are going to show a little bit. But I do want to preface this by saying, you know, whatever my politics show, nobody wants kids to die. Nobody wants this to happen anywhere, let alone at schools. But something has to be done, you know? And I'm not advocating for more gun control, because every shooting that has happened, would not have been stopped by additional gun control measures, you know, in the last decade or so. These shootings are not something that follow a guide. These are people that are sick and twisted, and they have an agenda to go out and kill as many people as they possibly can. You know, now the most common denominator in these shootings is the fact that the majority of them, well, there's two common denominators. One of the biggest, obviously, is the fact that they all happen in gun-free zones, but yet we want to add more gun control. The second is that the majority of these assholes, and I say that like I say that, you know, I could use such stronger language, but the majority of these less than animals have been under an antidepressant. But nobody wants to look at that. They only want to look at the inanimate object that does what it's told by the psychotic person that's wielding it. They never want to talk about the fact that they literally never want to bring up the fact that they were all, you know, on some sort of an antidepressant, or they, you know, they had. Well, for one thing, look at Parkland, however you want to, Parkland, in Florida. That kid was on a program that basically paid the school to make sure this kid didn't get into trouble, no matter how many times the cops were called on him. Okay, there were so many times that he should have been arrested many times and charged. Many times. But he wasn't. He was visited and talked to, but he wasn't charged. If he had been charged just one of the, what is now coming out as 41 times that the police were called on him, if he had been charged one of those times, he would have been ineligible to purchase a firearm. But yet everybody wants to talk about stricter gun laws. Well, how about we talk about abiding by the gun laws that we already have? And if somebody puts a gun to somebody's head, which this kid had done, and that was one of the things he had the cops called on him for, but he wasn't charged for. If he had been, you know, charged for that, he would not, well, for one thing, he would have been in jail, but he wouldn't have been able to buy a gun. But he was, you know, so many people were giving this kid a pass. They're saying, oh, well, he just lost his mother and he's going through a hard time, you know, but he was a bully, okay? Now, I know a lot, and this is where a lot of people on the right don't like what I say. A lot of people think that he was the kid that was bullied. A lot of people think that when that Emma girl, which I can't stand her, or crap, I can't remember the boy's name now. It's been a while since I've actually heard his name in the media, but gosh, I can't remember his name now. But anyway, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Retired FBI agent's son. Oh, they were talking about how they ostracized this guy. Okay, so many people think when you ostracize somebody, that's a synonym for bullying, but it's not. It's the opposite. You're staying away from somebody. You're keeping your distance, and it's because that's what he did. He bullied them. Okay. He was not the victim in the bullying situations, but you know, some people want to claim he was, but he wasn't. He was the perpetuator. He was the one that started the bullying time. You know, he was the bullier. He was the bad guy in those situations. So I don't blame the kids for ostracizing him because they had no other choice. You know, so this kid should have been brought up on charges so many times. And if he had been brought, like I said, if he'd been brought up on just one charge, he would not have legally been able to purchase those firearms. But yet everybody wants to say, well, we need stricter background checks. We need this. No, we just need to follow the rules that we already have set in place. But we don't. That's the problem. And then you want to implement new laws that literally only will affect the people like me who have done nothing wrong and whose guns will never do anything wrong. But somehow it's the gun's fault. But anyway, I guess I got off on a tangent there. But the point is clear. It's very sad when I'm driving down the interstate or driving down these roads, and it's not even an exaggeration. More often than not, these U.S. flags are at half-mast. And of those times that it's at half-mast, more often than not, it's due to a school shooting. Why can't we address something that might actually affect the school shootings, you know? Like, again, these antidepressants. You know, they destroy these individuals' psyche. You know, they turn them into people that they weren't before in a lot of cases. You know, and then everybody wants to point to one specific rifle, the AR-15. They say that's the deadliest gun you can have. Oh my God, how can you blame the officers at Parkland for not going in after a man with an AR-15 when all they have are 9mm? Well, it's easy. When you're in close combat like that, an AR-15 is less effective, technically, than a pistol. Alright? Pistols are a lot more effective when you're inside a building than a long rifle, because a long rifle is a lot more cumbersome, it's harder to hide, it's just a lot less effective. A pistol is ideal for close combat like that would have been. Alright? And I don't care what the muzzle velocity is on the AR-15. A bullet coming out of a gun is going to kill you no matter what gun is coming out of at close range. It doesn't matter, you know? It's whoever can pull the trigger the fastest and who has the best aim. Those cops had no excuse not to go in there. I understand it was a scary situation. I do. But that's what they are for. That's what those officers put their lives on the line every day. And God damn it, do I respect them for it. Not those particular officers. Or Sheriff Israel of Broward County. He's a real coward. God, he's a real son of a bitch. But I respect the hell out of law enforcement. Because the majority of them would have run in there. And the local police department did run in there. That's who stopped this guy. Well, that's who ran in there. After they got there and saw that 4 of the Broward County cowards were taking cover outside. In the rule book, during an active shooter situation, you do not wait. You run in there and you end the threat. That means you shoot to kill. That's just how it is. That's what you do in an active shooter situation per their handbook. But they didn't do it. They cowered outside. And then Sheriff Israel stood behind them and then threw the NRA into the bus. But the NRA wasn't there. The NRA, not a single shooter, not a single mass shooter has been a member of the NRA. In fact, a member of the NRA has stopped a mass shooter. But they always want to, they always want to point to the NRA. But whatever. It is what it is. It's just a sad situation. Yes, my politics were just blatantly shown right out there. Where are you going, pickup? Stay in your own lane. It's blatantly shown out there, and I am not ashamed of my politics. I'm proud of what I stand for, and I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of what I believe, and I believe that on this particular situation, in this particular topic, those advocating for stricter gun control are, I'm trying to be nice about it, they are clueless. And if you ever debate anybody that's advocating for stricter gun control, the very first thing you'll notice is they don't know jack shit about guns. They may, they'll claim that they have shot a gun. They'll claim they may even own a gun or two. But they don't know jack shit about it. They just regurgitate the bullshit lies that the media throws out there to scare everybody. And I'm not saying that the media on the right doesn't try to scare people into buying guns or into being against gun control. That's what the media does, and that's why I hate the media. The media on both sides is absolutely full of shit. But I will say that we stand by the facts when it comes to this topic. I know people on the left will hear that and they'll say, you know, they'll laugh at it, they'll scoff at it, they'll say, right, with, you know, facts, they don't know that. Well, guess what? You know, I may not be 100% certain when it comes to climate change. I may not be 100% certain when it comes to a lot of political topics. But on this political topic, I am 100% certain. And the left is factually, verifiably wrong. And I got a feeling that the majority of it is perpetuated by purposeful, false accusations from the media. And then it's just put out there for everybody else to hear. And then the gullibles listen to it, and they think, oh yeah, well, an AR-15, that sounds like a pretty dangerous gun. We need to ban the AR-15. Oh, well, you know why? Yeah, well, actually, no, we don't want to take your guns, but let's go ahead and ban all semi-automatic weapons. You know, I mean, only like 95% of guns out there today are semi-automatic, so we're not talking about banning all your guns. Oh, wait a second, the most recent shooter used a shotgun and a revolver that neither one were semi-automatic, and the shotgun was sawed off, which made that thing illegal to begin with. Oh my God. Well, okay, maybe we should just go ahead and ban all guns. Maybe that's the best. But no, we don't want to take, no, you're crazy, righties. You're crazy, you gun nuts. You're nuts for thinking that we want to ban all your guns. We don't want to ban all your guns. Wait, hang on. We do want to ban all your guns. Hang on, wait, what's Rachel Madcow saying? Oh, we do want to ban all your guns. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So apparently, according to Rachel Madcow, you know, oh wait, no, now she's changing her tune. No, we don't. Oh, well, okay. Well, I don't really know where to stand because I don't have a fucking principle when it comes to this. All right. Anyway, that was me pretending to be a lefty. All right, guys, I'm out of here for right now.